I love new challenge, new sportive challenge. I love to meet new people, new culture. And in my World Bike Tour, I couldn't ride here in Russia. And so I'm really excited to participate to this challenge to complete a new dream.
I'm dreaming to do the Trans-Siberian train for 15 years at least. I really want to do it, and now I know you can do it by bike. We had to do it. I had to do it. I had to race because I could never imagine something like this, and I really dreamed about doing this race.
Now we're in the Olympic Center in Moscow, and they're doing a couple of tests, but also by balance, portraits, physically, mentally tests. I understand they will do the same at the end of the trip and compare the results by now.
The 15th of July 2015, Moscow, Revolution Square. 10 athletes from 6 countries came to the start of Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme. 4 of them compete as solo riders and 6 as team riders. They will have to cover 320 kilometers of the first stage of the world's longest cycling ultramarathon.
It was awesome. We started in Moscow. We were guided out of the city and Ivan was steady saying, hey, slower guys, I want to go slower, slow down guys, and let them ride.
And boom, Christoph brakes like a wild animal.
And I want to cycle by my own, and I was keeping all the way along the same pace, but they were cycling like faster. So I just let them go, and that's the reason. So today I was the most stupid guy out of the group, tomorrow will be different.
We had a pretty good ride, awesome country, really nice houses on the left, on the right, perfect weather.
During the last kilometers of the lap, a confident getaway by Ivan Kovalyov wins victory for the Russian double. The Austrian Eduard Fuchs finishes first among the singles. The second longest stage has begun on the banks of the Volga River, the longest in Europe. The cyclists ride 1,100 kilometers in the day-night-day format.
It's the biggest race in the world. It's Russia as well. It's so many things. You know, it's like I say, the whole pack. I mean, all these 8 guys, one fantastic woman.
Paola is wonderful. She's always smiling, she has always a happy mood, she's always into the race, and she's a really tough competitor.
Over such long distances, double teams gradually gain leads of several hours over solo cyclists. The possibility to sleep a couple of hours in a minivan between relays allows them to recover their spent energy at least to some extent. The solo riders stopping for a short sleep drop behind the main peloton. As a result, the winning duo from Germany is 4.5 hours ahead of Steve Harvey, the first among the solo riders. The square of Spaso-Preobrazhensky Cathedral on the banks of the Kama, the main river of the West Urals, the starting area of the third stage of Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme. Not only local celebrities, but also the students from the cycling school have come to support the racing cyclists. They accompany the Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme column until it leaves the city.
Были мысли закончить, да. Хотелось закончить по состоянию здоровья, это боли там в коленях, но успели сохранить здоровье, психологически успел быстро восстановиться, и это послужило как бы достаточно большим уроком в плане психологии. И я знаю, что если такая ситуация будет, в принципе, из нее можно выйти, я уже как бы к этому подготовлен.
There's frequent replacement of wheels with punctured tires. The loss of precious minutes and lagging behind the main group of cyclists means an exhausting struggle with the wind on your own. But Denise finds the strength and completes the lap, remaining in the race. Yekaterinburg, the capital of the Urals. It's the city that connects the European and Asian parts of Russia. The races finish after midnight, but they start in the empty streets early the next morning without causing problems for the city's traffic, now covering kilometers of Asian asphalt.
Ехали без остановок, практически не спали. Если учитывать, что еще до этого 2 ночи тоже были ранние старты, мы спали недолго, там по 6 часов максимум, то как бы уже наложилось, что сна не хватало. То есть не столько тяжело было, сколько не хватало действительно сна. Один раз там даже чуть с велосипеда не упал, что меня так повело в сторону. Даже уже ехали ночью где-то 22-25 км в час, очень медленно.
Ja, es war auf der zweiten Etappe, es war ein sehr harter Schlag für mich und zum Glück hat mein Therapeut 1000%ige Arbeit geleistet. Also ich bin wirklich stolz, dass mir so geholfen werden konnte und dass ich das Rennen fortsetzen konnte. Seit gut 3 Tagen bin ich relativ schmerzfrei und ich hoffe, ich bringe es so ins Ziel.
Good morning! Morning!
The monotony of the night landscape gradually yields to the smell of the morning dew and the first rays of the rising sun. The dawn landscape opens a new day, obliterating the emotional tiredness, and the cyclists continue the struggle with themselves, with kilometers of the road, with traffic jams and with broken asphalt.
It was flat, but the road was really bad, many holes, many traffic works. I hope that my bike can don't block.
Paula's fears were unfounded. Despite the endless roadworks, she finished without breakages. A long-awaited rest is up ahead for the doubles, who completed the route leg a little after midday. The solo riders will also be able to have a proper rest. Omsk, a city located at the meeting point of 2 rivers, the Irtysh and the Om. The rested athletes are not in a hurry to get ahead and lose the slipstream.
Slowly we adapt to this style of racing, and all the participants know now if we go together, it's way more easier. So we stick together and work together to get as fast as possible to the finish line, because then we have more rest. But no one knows if one day there's another breakaway and try to catch the race lead overall. So I don't want to say this like it will be every day.
Many people make me a laugh when I ride, and the traffic is not so good, but people are lovely, and I love Russia for now. I'm really happy to have won this stage, and really happy to be on the 4th part of this long challenge.
Half an hour later, the entire peloton is finished. An early start and 315 kilometers on the way to the capital of Siberia. A light morning rain helps the cyclists to completely wake up. But suddenly there's a traffic jam. A Jeep was on fire and then instantly put out by the road services. But from then on, there's ideal asphalt.
So hard to try and break us up because it was so flat. It was very cagey, cat and mouse, you know, so when somebody would take the front, somebody would easing off, and then it would be, somebody else would go. So it was really cagey up until the last 5K actually, and then I was kind of toying with them. I'd really hit it hard, ease it off. I was just messing with them, and then I thought, I'm going, 3K to go, I'm going. And I really started putting it down, and then Eddie overtook me, he got on my wheel, overtook me, and he went too early, and then I managed to go by him. But then went by the bloody finish line, so.
Steve's mistake costs him a minute, but he's still the leader in the overall rankings, being 15 minutes ahead of Christoph Allegard. An impressive crowd of local mass media and cycling enthusiasts have gathered at the start of the 6th stage. They want to support the athletes as long as they have patience and strength. The riders try to keep in a group, but as soon as they leave the city, the ideal asphalt gives way to sections with roadworks and backed-up traffic. However, the sportsmen maintain a fast pace, and closer to evening, the accumulated tiredness begins to show itself. They have to conserve strength because straight after Kemerovo, a new trial is awaiting the athletes, the famous Kuzbas Hills, where the descents and ascents of the winding Baikal route are almost uninterrupted.
The other guys told me that they've made 2 kilometers per hour, so fast, it's so crazy.
In such conditions, technical and tactical skills are important. Any incorrect movement, the amount of angularity in the body, even swerving, takes away extra strength in seconds.
Today's stage was really hard because all the other stages we were together for a long time. This time we separated pretty early, and during the night I came into the race, had to go hard in the night for 3 hours, then had 3 hours of sleep, so
More than we.
and then I was alone. Then we had to race alone. Went on our time trial bike. It got really hard, but it was really nice racing. We had much fun.
The Russian double uses new tactics. Taking turns every 30 minutes, they're more than a half an hour ahead of the German team and almost an hour ahead of the Italians. Christoph brings Edward Fuchs the 40-minute lead. After another hour and 15 minutes, Steve Harvey finishes. Denis Majara completes the distance almost 7 hours later. In Krasnoyarsk, the stereotype of the cold Siberian weather was completely destroyed. The Central Asiatic heat has come to the region, and it's a surprise for the foreign riders. After the start, the participants of Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme have to keep a high pace in order not to be roasted from the gradually heating asphalt. Meanwhile, the thermometer shows 35 degrees above zero.
Il paesaggio è stupendo, sembra un po' colorato in America, un po' più caldo durante il giorno e la mattina presto tanto umido. L'ultima tappa è stata molto impegnativa, vento contrario.
Сегодня этап был специфический, потому что дул встречный ветер. До этого нам повезло, мы ехали в основном по ветру. За несколько дней до дня рождения или после у меня были соревнования, я на них все время хорошо выступал. Но не было никогда именно в день рождения. Поэтому хотелось сегодня именно хорошо себя проявить и победить.
We went up and down, and when you went up it was like 17 degrees, and then you went down and it was like 13 degrees, and that was pretty funny for me. You know, when you're just riding in the night the whole time, it's fun if something happens. Fork, no fork, up, down, doesn't matter. Something special and I'm happy.
Having grown a year older, Ivan Kovalyov continues to attack the contenders, compelling them to expend their strength on the chase. In combination with hourly relays, this tactic gives the Russian double a 31-minute lead over the German team. Ivan devotes his victory in the 8th leg to his daughters, Victoria and Valeria. And Christoph Allegat, who competes as a solo rider, not only has a getaway of 1 hour and 15 minutes from Edouard Fuchs, but also is almost 9 minutes ahead of the Italian double. On the 26th of July 2015, in the small provincial town of Toulon, from the crack of dawn, participants in Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme are getting ready for the start of the 9th stage, inspired by the thought that a half of the way has already been passed. During the race, the athletes really begin to discover Russia. Landscape changes occur along the longest railway in the world. The existence of this railway inspired the organisers to create the longest and the hardest ultramarathon and to show to the world the incredible scale and immensity of Russia.
I don't really know because it's all been not what I expected anyway. I've never seen so many trees and more trees, and there is such a vast country. The towns that seem so modern, but out of the cities they seem so, I don't want to offend anybody and say the wrong word, but it's like a different class, poor. But I just think it's like stepping back in time in 1 minute, and then the next minute you're with the modern world.
The average pulse of the athletes has dropped to 120 beats per minute. That means complete adaptation to long distances. The Russian double also wins this stage with a small lead over the Germans and the Italians. Christoph Allegat is the first among the singles for the 3rd leg in a row, but leadership in the overall ranking is still held by Steve Harvey, who comes 2nd this time. Irkutsk, the banks of the Angara River. The riders start from the Tsar Alexander III monument, erected in honor of the completion of the construction of the Siberian Railway. Strength that has been saved proves useful. This is the first 50 kilometers of the Baikal Serpentine, and it's mainly uphill. An impressive jam is accumulating behind the group. This gives rise to tangible tension, especially on the descents.
This was actually the stage I was looking forward to. It was exactly what I expected. But the group was riding quite fast, and so it was like a hard ride also.
Steve Harvey has made up his mind to use the steep road descents for breaking away from the main peloton and the Belgian who was close on his heels. The other riders keep to a medium pace, admiring the views of Baikal and anticipating the forthcoming encounter with the largest freshwater lake in the world.
The views were extremely nice around the lake, and I was very happy to have that break in the middle, like 20 minutes off of the bike, and it was like, wow, that's it.
It was really cold inside, so we jumped in the lake, but it was so good, so fresh, and a perfect day. I think that this was the best stage ever.
After several kilometers, the main peloton catches up with the Briton, and the cyclists come to the finish in a compact group, having preserved the sequence in the overall rankings. The start of the 11th stage in Ulan-Ude will long be remembered thanks to the traditional Buryat hospitality. At the previous stage, the riders finished late at night and didn't see any considerable changes in the surrounding nature and landscape of Buryatia. Having left Ulan-Ude, the entire procession feels as if it's reached a different planet. The sandy mountains and steppes disappearing over the horizon greatly differ from the forest landscapes of Western Siberia. There's no rubbish on the roads at all, and little villages with multicolored houses look smart and neat. Locals explain that this is due to the Buddhism which came to these lands in the early 17th century. Here the riders have to struggle with the roasting sun and the steppe headwinds. At night the abrupt temperature drop and the wind force the participants to search for as much warmth as possible.
You know, I was wrapped up, I had a buff here, I had a buff there, real thick gloves, tights on, and then like, you know, in the morning time, it's like, boom, like that. It's just completely changed. And the water's just gone, you know, it's not warm, it's hot. It just cannot stay cool. Just extreme, I mean, you know, it's Trans-Siberian extreme and we're getting every single...
Steve slackens his pace a little and finishes after Eddie Fuchs. Christoph Alligard comes first for the 5th stage in a row. The Russian double wins, and this time with a 4-minute lead. The Italians managed to get a 30-second lead over the German team. Chita, a city situated in one of the largest depressions in eastern Siberia. At the first kilometers of the longest and hardest stage of the race, the athletes are greatly supported by an escort of young cyclists which accompanies the participants of Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme to the city borders, overcoming an ascent. Over such a long distance, the young athletes try not to drop behind their more experienced colleagues.
When it comes to construction zones or traffic problems, I was always thinking, okay, I stick with Mikael. He knows what's happening. He's 20 times more live kilometers than I.
The spirit of rivalry doesn't leave the participants. They're all tired, so the tactical and psychological struggle becomes paramount.
Ivan, a little bit weird teammate of Mikhail, which is always trying to hurt someone for fun. I can attack now because it really hurts Thomas, so I do.
By the end of the first day of the stage, the average speed of the peloton is 32 kilometers per hour, and there's a whole 1,000 kilometers left ahead.
Yesterday night I was without hair because people go so fast and the other boys leave me alone. But then Paolo could catch them again, so I was really happy for that because we stayed together.
Meanwhile, the single riders try not to spread out, despite their constantly increasing lag behind the doubles. The excellent road surface in combination with the light wind slightly brighten up the endless process of pedalling. By the 12th stage, Denis Marjara finally gets into the rhythm of the race and confidently maintains the average speed of the singles. From the beginning of the stage and over the 2 days, the singles have been taking all the stops for sleep, changes of clothes and meals simultaneously, continuing their movement in a group. But for Christophe Allegaert, this was the last group pit stop. Having started, he tried to get as big a lead as possible before stopping for sleep. After 40 hours of the race, the athletes competing as singles lag more than 80 kilometers behind the constantly relaying doubles.
Ivan wants to play games, but we don't play with him. Because if we play, we destroy ourselves, but we're too smart for this.
1400 километров, 2 ночи практически. Я считал, что мы доберемся раньше, мы бы добрались раньше, если не было таких гор. То есть самый горный этап, плюс он еще и самый длинный оказался. Но я как бы финишнул вообще просто опустошен. Я даже ночью просыпался, я Паше говорю: Паша, пропустили смену, пропустили смену. Говорит: да ты прикалываешься, что ли, надо мной? Я такой: что, где, когда смена, через сколько у меня? Мы уже в отеле, типа, успокойся. И 2 раза так было у меня ночью, вообще ужас.
At this point, the exhausted singles are far from the finish. Steve Harvey plans to miss the last sleep stop, but has a regrettable fall and has to stop and rest. As a result, Christophe Allegaert finishes first. Edouard Fuchs comes in 3 hours later. Denis Marjara catches up with the sleeping Steve and finishes third. Steve Harvey completes the stage an hour later. The athletes don't set the pace too high, making it clear by their mere appearance that they're not going to rush over the following 386 kilometers. We decided to find out about the processes of interaction inside the German team, which in our opinion is coping with all tasks more efficiently than the others.
We have 2 vans, so 2 physios and 2 mechanics and 2 bike riders. The mechanics do everything with the bike, and the 2 physios, we take care of nutrition, what they eat, how much they eat, if they eat properly, or we do massages in between the stints that they're riding. We also take care of the clothes, like how much underwear they're wearing, like the shirt. They don't have to carry anything. That's what we do.
I try to care of the bikes in the best way that I can, I think, and we make a good job. And together with Sergey, I have to mention him because he's a really good guy. He's just awesome. He helps us a lot of times.
Учитывая тот факт, что гонщики приезжали обычно уже поздно вечером или даже глубокой ночью, приходилось заранее подготавливаться к процессу обслуживания. В некоторых отелях говорили: вы что, дураки, что ли? Как в отеле можно велосипеды обслуживать? Приходилось искать какие-то хитрые пути. Где-то гардеробы, выяснялось, находились, где-то находились парковочные места на внутренних парковках. Иногда приходилось велосипеды обслуживать даже в собственном номере. Наши российские дороги или какое-то поведение Фукса на трассе сделали такое, что у него просто спица вылетела. И такие спицы в России, особенно в глубинке, найти просто нереально. И как ее починить, было абсолютно непонятно. В итоге в Иркутске я как смог успел обзвонить велосипедные сервисы. У Техаса был выходной в этот момент. Когда я звонил на рабочий телефон, ответили. Александр, даже не сильно пытаясь понять, какая ситуация, сказал: да, конечно, я приеду, помогу. В Техасе оказались необходимые инструменты, и это было просто фантастика. То есть всего каких-то 40 минут, и все, колесо этих Фуксов в порядке. Это была эйфория.
The efforts of the mechanics saved the equipment of Edouard Fuchs and other riders more than once. But by the end of the 13th leg, all the teams quickly run out of stocks of wheels, carriages, chains and other spare parts. This has a significant effect on the pace of the race. Almost right before the finish of the 13th leg, the Russian rider Denis Marjara had some bad luck.
Не заметил, видимо, яму. То есть там даже не яма, а трамплин, на котором меня сильно достаточно подбросило, и я упал с велосипеда. Кости целые, отделался только легкими царапинами.
Denis gets back on his bike, but after a couple of 100 meters, the cycle race doctor Vasily Torshinsky makes the decision to remove Denis from the stage. Other riders finish in Abluchia, having maintained their positions in the overall ranking. The race's penultimate leg will be remembered by the participants thanks to freaks of nature. At the start it rains a little, but as soon as the riders return to the Amur route, the sun emerges and all the participants find themselves in a real sweat house. In addition to high humidity, clouds of hungry gadflies fly in and no sprays can keep them off. The Russian athletes can't resist the temptation to scare the foreign contenders.
Местные сказали, что эти слепни могут обглодать человека до костей, если нападут стаи, за 3 Minuten.
Natürlich war das das härteste und das schwierigste Radrennen, das ich bis jetzt gemacht habe. Man hat auch immer seine Höhen und Tiefen bei jedem Bewerb und die Tiefen sind halt anders wie bei anderen Rennen und das ist eben das Spezielle bei solchen Rennen.
The weather continues its surprises and in addition to the headwind, it showers with rain, reducing the cyclist's speed for several hours. As soon as it stops raining, the Italian rider Paolo Aste makes an attempt to break away from the contenders and he manages to do it. But the experienced Mikhail Ignatiev weighs up his strength and reaches the Italian right before the finish. The Germans finish a minute later. Christoph Alligard preserves leadership among the singles and the rested Majara comes second. Fuchs and Harvey cross the finish line together. On the 4th of August 2015, the athletes of Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme come to the start of the 15th and final stage. It has to be said that they're in an excellent mood.
Last stage is, yeah! So strong this race, so hard.
It was hard because we thought to already be in Vladivostok. For example, for my mind, I thought that I was finishing the race, but in reality it was still 700 kilometers. The road condition was so bad, all up and down.
На этом велосипеде я первый раз еду, скорость держит хорошо, в жопе комфортно.
The warm night and the incredibly beautiful dawn landscape seem to inspire the participants. The pace is gradually increasing up to 32 kilometers per hour, and if the doubles can take turns and have a rest, it's absolutely unclear where the solo riders get their strength from. The leader of the solo riders, Christoph Alligard, is only 2 hours behind their doubles.
Christoph has amazing skills, he's amazing power. I don't know where he can take such an amount of power.
Christoph именно как машина. Для меня он как эталон. Есть на кого равняться.
There is now nothing that can prevent the Belgian rider Christoph Alligard from winning the first cycling Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme Ultramarathon. Eduard Fuchs leaves Steve Harvey behind in the overall rankings and comes in second. The Russian racing cyclist Denis Majara worthily completes the race. Mikhail Ignatiev and Ivan Kovalyov win as a double, having left the Germans behind by an hour and a half and the Italians by 3 hours and 40 minutes. On the 6th of August 2015, the first and longest cycling ultramarathon, the Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme, is completed.